Children, today we will be learning the topic towards quantum mechanical model of the atom. To overcome the limitations of Bohr's model, attempts were made to develop a new model for atoms. Two new theories were put forward in order to arrive at the new model. They were de Broglie's concept of dual behavior of matter and Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. See, earlier we were discussing about dual behavior of light or radiation. What was the dual behavior of light? Light exhibited both wave and particle-like properties. Here we are talking about matter. Okay, matter is now known to exhibit dual behavior, that is both wave and particle-like properties. So let's learn about this from de Broglie's concept. Now let's learn the first theory, de Broglie's concept of dual behavior of matter, which questioned the rationality of Bohr's model. In 1924, the French physicist de Broglie made an important suggestion to the science community all over the world that matter, like radiation, should also exhibit dual behavior, that is, both particle and wave-like properties. So what was the suggestion put forward by de Broglie? He suggested that matter also exhibited dual behavior, that is, matter also exhibited both particle and wave-like properties. In other words, just as light or radiation, all moving particles, matter such as electrons, protons, etc., including ordinary objects like ball or a planet, exhibit both particle and wave-like properties. So, children, please note that we are talking about particles which are in motion. Clear? We are not talking about particles which are at rest. Okay, de Broglie's suggestion was made on particles which are in motion. So all particles in motion or all objects in motion exhibit both particle and wave-like properties. This was the suggestion put forward by de Broglie. Children, please note, this is of importance from the exam point of view. So you must know the theory put forward by de Broglie. It's just that simple. What is that? He suggested that, or he proposed that, matter exhibits dual behavior. Okay. And what kind of matter? Matter in motion. Okay. All moving matter exhibit particle and wave-like properties. So, according to de Broglie, all matter in motion possess wave characteristics in addition to their particle properties. You must be knowing this thoroughly. De Broglie also gave the relation between wavelength lambda and velocity v of a particle based on the energy equations of photons in their wave and particle forms. In the last class, you have learned a formula which is used to calculate the energy of a photon when it exhibits wave character. What was that? It is E equal to h nu. That is what is given in equation 1. Okay, so here E is the energy of a photon. Okay, h is the Planck's constant and nu is the frequency of the photon. Now, if it displays particle character, its energy can be calculated by applying equation 2. What is that? E equal to mc square. As you know, c represents velocity of light, m is the mass of the photon. Okay, E is the energy of the photon. Please note, when it displays a particle character, when it displays wave character, its energy is given by the equation E equal to h nu. When a photon displays a particle character, its energy is given by E equal to mc square. Now, as you see, the left hand side of equation 1 and 2, both are same. So you can combine equations 1 and 2. Okay, so what will happen? H nu becomes equal to mc square. Okay, take this as equation 3. Now you know that, okay, nu is equal to c by lambda. Nu means frequency, c is the velocity of light, and lambda is the wavelength of light. You have learnt earlier. Okay, you must have that PPT with you. Okay, you should have noted whatever was told through the PPT. Okay, so here if you substitute c by lambda instead of nu in equation 3, you get h into c by lambda, which is equal to mc square. Now as you see, on the left hand side and right hand side of the equation you have common c. You can cancel c on both sides. So the resulting equation becomes h by lambda equal to m into c. If you rearrange the previous equation, you get lambda equal to h by mc. Here lambda is the wavelength, m is the mass, and c is the velocity of light. Okay, velocity of photon. To generalize this equation for any material particle, okay, c, which is the velocity of light, is replaced with v, okay, which is the velocity of material particles. So the resulting equation, that is lambda equal to h by mv, obtained by replacing c with v, okay, is called de Broglie's equation. Okay, why did he do that? Hope it is clear. Okay, see, look at the equation lambda equal to h by mc. Here c represents velocity of light. Okay, de Broglie was trying to derive relationship between wavelength and velocity of particles and not that of light. Okay, he was trying to derive a relationship between wavelength and velocity of particles and not light. So instead of c, okay, you can use v. Okay, so that is what is written in the last equation in the denominator. This is just to represent or generalize this equation for any material particle. Okay, so the resulting equation is called de Broglie equation. According to de Broglie, the wavelength lambda associated with a particle of mass m moving with a velocity v is given by the relation lambda equal to h by m into v, where m is the mass of the particle and v is the velocity of the particle. H is Planck's constant, which is 6.626 into 10 power minus 34 joules second. Okay, as you know, product of mass and velocity of your particle is equal to its momentum. So this can be equated to P. Okay, so lambda becomes equal to h by p, where p is the momentum of the particle. Look at the equation lambda equal to h by m into v. Imagine an ordinary object like ball in motion. It has a large mass and it is moving with a velocity v. When you multiply the values of mass and velocity of the ball, you get a large value. Okay, now look at the value of h. Okay, you know what the value of h is. 6.626 into 10 power minus 34 joules second. Okay, 10 raised to minus 34 means 0.0000 up to 33 zeros it goes on. Okay, this is a very small value. If you have a small value in the numerator and a big value in the denominator, the resulting value will be much smaller, isn't it? So write 1 by 10 in your notebook. Okay, write 1 divided by 10 in your notebook. Calculate it. What is the value you get? It is much smaller, isn't it? 0.1. Okay, so the value of lambda will be so small and insignificant. if you take the case of a ball. Therefore, the wavelength associated with ordinary objects are short because of their large masses. So, the wave properties of ordinary objects cannot be detected. Clear? You cannot detect the wave properties of ordinary objects. Okay, in other words, the wavelengths of heavier objects are small and vice versa. Okay, so in de Broglie's equation, the wavelength and mass of a particle are inversely related. Okay, if the value of m is large, the value of lambda will be small. Okay, so that is why it is not possible to detect wave properties of larger objects. Clear? Larger objects have larger masses. So if you multiply the mass of the object, okay, larger object with its velocity, you get a larger value. If you compare this value with the value of numerator, Planck's constant, okay, the value in the denominator is very large. Okay, if you have a small value in the numerator and a large value in the denominator, the resulting value will be much smaller. That is why it is not possible to detect the wave properties of heavier objects experimentally. Okay, the wavelength associated with ordinary objects are, in other words, short and hence cannot be detected. The wavelength lambda associated with electrons and other subatomic particles. What are subatomic particles? Like they are protons, neutrons and so on. So, electrons and other subatomic particles have very small masses. So, their wavelengths can be detected experimentally. That is, the value of lambda will be considerably large enough to be detected. So, here I have taken the example of an electron. Okay, the value of mass of an electron will be small. So, when you solve the equation, the value of lambda wavelength, okay, will be considerably large. So, if the value of lambda is large, then the wave nature of matter, okay, can be detected. The wave nature of electron can be detected experimentally. Hence, the wave nature of matter becomes important for microscopic particles only. Be it an electron, proton or neutron, their wave nature can be detected. So, what did you learn so far? The wavelengths of heavier objects are small and vice versa. So, the wavelength of lighter particles like electrons can be measured experimentally, whereas the wavelength of heavier particles or objects like a ball or a planet, or imagine yourself, your wavelength cannot be detected. Okay, the wavelength of heavier objects cannot be detected. Okay, because when the value of mass is large, the value of lambda will be small. And similarly, when the value of mass is small, the value of lambda will be large. Okay, now this will become more clearer to you when we deal with the following problems. See, problem 2.12. This is a problem which is already solved in your NCERT book. What will be the wavelength of a ball of mass 0.1 kilogram moving with a velocity of 10 meter by second? Okay, so what are the data given? You are given the mass of the ball. It is equal to 0.1 kilogram. And what is the velocity with which the ball is moving? It is equal to 10 meter per second. So, according to de Broglie's equation, lambda equal to h by mv. Why do you use this equation? You are given data, what data? Mass and velocity, and you are asked to calculate the wavelength. Okay, so de Broglie's equation is the suitable equation to substitute these data. Okay, so lambda equal to h by mv. We know h equal to 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 joules second, which is Planck's constant. Now substitute mass 0.1 kilogram and velocity 10 meter per second. Okay, now what happens? You can take this second in the numerator to the denominator. If you take second to the denominator, how will you represent second in the denominator? You can write s raised to minus 2. Okay, so if s from the numerator is taken to the denominator, the s in the denominator can be written as minus 2. Okay, now in this equation, I have written all the units together and I've set aside all the numerical terms. Okay, now coming to the next equation, do you have any number in the denominator? No, you have only the unit kilogram meter per second square. Why? When you multiply 0.1 into 10, the result will be 1. Okay, now instead of kilogram meter per second square, okay, you can substitute this. Okay, that is joule equal to kilogram meter per second square. Okay, so either way you can do. Okay, instead of kilogram meter per second square, you can do what I have done, or instead of joule in the numerator, you can substitute kilogram meter by second square. I hope that will be simpler. Okay, so if you do the calculation, you will get 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 meter. Clear? So now let me remind you, we were dealing with ball in the problem. Okay, what was the mass of the ball? It is 0.1 kilogram. Okay, you have learned earlier that when the mass of an object is large, the value of wavelength will be small. Okay, here look at the value of the wavelength you obtained. It is 0.000330626 meter. So can you detect the wavelength of such an object experimentally? No, it is very difficult. Okay, that is why the wavelength of heavier objects is short, or the wavelength of heavier objects cannot be detected experimentally. Now coming to problem 2.13. What is the question? The mass of an electron is 9.1 into 10 raised to minus 31 kilogram. If its kinetic energy is 3 into 10 raised to minus 25 joules, calculate its wavelength. Okay, so here there's a difference. You are given the mass, but you are not given the velocity. So your first objective is to find out the velocity of the electron. But you are given an additional information. What is that? Kinetic energy. What is the formula for calculating kinetic energy? It is equal to half mv square. Okay, so here V is your interest. So you can rearrange the formula in the following way. V square equal to 2 Ke by m. Okay, so in order to remove the square on V, what will you do? You will take the square root on both sides of the equation. So V becomes equal to square root of 2 Ke by m. Instead of square root, you can represent it as 1 by 2. Okay, so when you substitute the value of Ke, the numerator becomes 2 into 3 into 10 raised to minus 25 joule divided by 9.1 into 10 raised to minus 31 kilogram, which is the mass of the electron. Okay, now in the next step, instead of joule, I substitute kilogram meter square per second square. Okay, this is for convenience sake. You can do the same in the previous problem. Clear? Okay, so in the next step, as you see, you can cancel kilogram in the numerator and denominator. So what will be the outcome? You will have only meter square per second square in the numerator. Okay, and you write all the numerical terms together. Now, when you try solving the previous step, you get 6 into 10 power 6 divided by 9.1 meter square per second square. Okay, so now what is your next target? You need to remove the square root, isn't it? So if you want to remove the square root of meter square per second square, you can do so in this way. Okay, square of meter and 1 by 2 will get cancelled and you will get meter outside the bracket parenthesis. Okay, square of second. Okay, it will get cancelled with 1 by 2 and you get second raised to minus 1 out of the parenthesis. Okay, now what do you have inside the parenthesis or bracket? Okay, it is 6 into 10 raised to 6. Now you need to take the square root of 10 raised to 6. You know, when you have 2 in the numerator and when you multiply it 1 by 2, uh, you will get 1. So when you try to take square root of 10 raised to 6, you get 10 power 3. Hope it is clear from the step I have written. Okay, and what is remaining now inside the bracket? It is 6 by 9.1. When you solve it, you get 0.6593 raised to 1 by 2 into 10 power 3 meter per second. Now when you do the square root calculation, you get 0.8119 into 10 power 3 meter per second. So finally, you can include 10 power 3 in the number 0.8119 and you get 812 meter per second. Okay, so you have 9 in the fourth decimal, isn't it? So you can round it off. Okay, you can round the third decimal. Okay, if the fourth decimal is beyond 5, you can round off the third decimal and you can write it as 812 meter per second. Okay, now according to de Broglie's equation, lambda is equal to h by mv. Now can you substitute, do you have all the values for substituting in this equation? Yes, because you already know the value of Planck's constant. Okay, you know the value of mass of an electron, it is given in the problem, and the value of velocity of the electron you just calculated. Okay, now if you substitute all these in the equation again and solve it, when you solve this equation, you get 896.7 into 10 power minus 9 meter, which is a considerably larger value when you compare with the previous answer you obtained for solving problem 2.12, I suppose. Okay, so when you compare the values of lambda of a ball and of an electron, you find that the value of a wavelength of a ball is very small, isn't it? It was like in the range of 10 raised to minus 34, okay, which is very small, so it cannot be detected. Now if you consider the value of wavelength for an electron, it is considerably larger, so it is possible to detect the wave nature of electron experimentally. Okay, so the wave nature of matter becomes important for microscopic particles only. Okay, so de Broglie's theory and equation was later proved to be correct when it was found that an electron beam undergoes diffraction, a property which is unique to waves. Okay, the wave nature of electrons forms the basis of an electron microscope, that it gives a magnification of 15 million times. Now look at these pictures I have shown. Okay, these are the electron microscopes available at IIT Madras, where I worked previously. Okay, using these electron microscopes, the first one is known as scanning electron microscope and the next one is known as transmission electron microscope. It is possible, now you look at that picture, okay, it is possible to actually look at atoms or the morphology of a powder. Suppose you have talcum powder in your hand and if you place it under this microscope, you can see the arrangement of particles in the talcum powder. And if you are using TEM, you can actually see the composition or the arrangement of atoms in the powdered sample. So de Broglie's concept was of a greater help to the scientific community in developing powerful tools, okay, like electron microscopes in modern scientific research. Now Coming to the last and final part of dual nature of matter. Okay, problem 2.4. This is the last problem we will be dealing with in this class. Calculate the mass of a photon with wavelength 3.6 angstrom. Here, the data which is visible to you is wavelength. Wavelength is 3.6 angstrom. It is equal to 3.6 into 10 power minus 10 meter. Okay, you should always convert angstrom into meter. Okay, now there is a trick in the question. You might think you are given only one value, but another value is hidden in the question itself. You are asked to calculate the mass of a photon. Photon is nothing but radiation, light radiation. So the velocity of photon, which is given by v, is nothing but the velocity of light. What is the velocity of light? You know it by heart. What is that? 3 into 10 power 8 meter by second. Okay, so you can rearrange de Broglie's equation in such a way that you get mass on the left hand side and you place lambda in the denominator of the right hand side of the equation. Okay, now when you substitute all these values and when you solve the uh, numericals, you get mass equal to 6.135 into 10 raised to minus 29 kilogram. How do you get kilogram? Again, I showed you in the earlier problems, you need to substitute kilogram meter square per second square instead of joule in the numerator. Okay, you need to convert joule into kilogram meter square per second square, because you have meter and second as the common terms in the numerator also. So you can cancel them out simply if you substitute kilogram meter square per second square instead of joule. Okay, so this is how you do the calculation, and in this problem, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. I will reply you. Okay.